Welcome to another episode where we look behind the scenes of a game show to see what it's like to be a contestant on one. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what show you were on?
Sure thing. My name is Dan, and I was on the show Beat the Geeks on Comedy Central.
Yep. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Dan. I did come across Beat the Geeks a few weeks ago, funnily enough, and there's only one episode online at the moment that I can find, and I really enjoyed it. I found out the show ran for 11 months between 2001 and 2002.
Yeah.
Which season were you on, Dan?
I believe I was on the second season because I think they switched hosts.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I was definitely on it in 2002.
2002, yeah. So how did you come across the show that far back? Did you watch it before you applied?
Yeah. I had I watched a lot of. I was working. Hold on. I was working from home, and I was actually working as a trivia writer of all things for an internet game site.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'd watch a lot of TV, pull some questions from that wherever I could, but I kept coming back to Comedy Central. I really liked Beat the Geeks. I was really in a trivia mode at that time, and yeah.
Yeah. So was that the first game show you ever applied on or went on?
No. I had the first one I applied for and got onto was Greed, and then I lost at that one. I did not know there was an elimination round in the beginning. Yeah, that sucked. Should have watched the show a little bit more. But then I auditioned for a bunch of other shows like Street Smarts and the older version of not Joker's Wild, one of those card sharks. Right. And I did like a phone interview for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and oh gosh, Rock and Roll Jeopardy I auditioned for as well.
Fair few then. So with the interviews, did you have like a phone interview or video interview? How did it work back?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's tough. I can't remember 100%, but yeah, you with all of them, you have to like meet in person so they can see what you look like, what your energy is like, that kind of thing. What would make a TV audience member want to watch the show and root for you? They always encourage you that they want you to win as much money as possible because that's what gets more views for the show. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I also got a phone interview, and it was like a 10-question phone interview, and I nailed all 10 of them despite having been up all night. And I was like, I'd only had like 4 hours of sleep, so I was like, all right, I think I could do this. So, and then you get the calls like, hey, we want to shoot with you. These are the days we have open. I think they sometimes they'll say like, we got you scheduled for Friday, but other times they're like, we have this week, we have next week. Tell us what you want. Because when it comes down to it, like in a lot of, it doesn't seem like it would be the case. I mean, for some shows like Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, they've got people waiting to audition like out the, just down the block.
Yeah.
But some like the smaller ones, they kind of are really sometimes struggling to get more contestants.
Yeah. So did they literally say, so from your phone interview or your in-person interview, did you have like a week until they wanted you in? How long between those were there for you?
Yeah, I remember like the meeting in person happened, and then like, yeah, it was within like a week or so. Oh, they didn't say when they were going to do it. I just got a call, and okay, time to do that. And then they called back, I think within a week or two after that. It all kind of runs pretty quickly. They just want to make sure they've got all the shows lined up so they can shoot them all.
Yeah.
A couple shows a day, sort of a schedule.
I had an Elvis geek at one point. They didn't, like, if you were an Elvis geek, they wouldn't have you on. Was there anything like that? Or?
No, they actually never asked what our specialties were. I think if anything, the specialties were in the three geeks that are there every time. But no, it was more just they wanted to see like how average Joes go up against the geeks.
So how did they tell you were on? Was it like a letter or a phone call? Or
it's a phone call. Phone call. That was a phone call. And those are like, you can tell the people who make those calls, they're always in good spirits, because every time I've been called to be told that I'm on the show, it's like they know that they're making somebody's day. They know that they just opened up a chance for you to win a lot of cash and prizes. So
yeah, I can imagine it's quite exciting to give someone the news.
Yeah.
Did they provide any like travel or accommodation for you, or?
No, you know, most shows, it's just kind of like you're
Get there.
responsible for your stay out here. And for me, luckily, it wasn't bad because it was within like 5 miles of me. Actually,
Oh, wow.
my the friend who got me encouraged me to audition for the show. He and I hung out the night before at our mutual friend's apartment, who was walking distance to the studio. So,
Oh, wow. That's handy.
yeah, the benefits of living in Hollywood, in Los Angeles area.
So we're at the day of the show now. What time do you have to get there? Was it an early start or?
Yeah, it was like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And like it's weird because like studios usually don't open until like 9:30ish, maybe 10. So yeah, it was just kind of like a skeleton crew. They walked us into the tiny green room where there was like, you know, an urn of coffee and some donuts and some fruit. And I was a little too nervous to really eat anything. I was just kind of like, it's like I just did not want to have a repeat performance of losing right away on the show.
Well, and you didn't, did you? You did quite well,
No.
didn't you?
Yeah. It's like I had to keep talking to myself. I was just like, just take it one step at a time. Just make it through the first round. Yeah. Just make it through the second round. Just get one question right, you know. So and it just kind of kept building my confidence myself.
So you got there about 8 a.m. When did the filming actually start? Was there a lot of like papers to be signed and forms?
Yeah, there are some papers to be signed. Like you got to tax forms and stuff like that, and how many you're going to claim and all, and releases.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then, they started shooting, I think like around 9 or so. And I think I was like the second or third show that was taped that morning. Yeah, but they try to get in and get out because they've also got audience to deal with that they have to pull in and make sure that they're okay. The audience isn't under any contract. They can just get up and walk out if they wanted to. But
when you are on the show, the host at one point asks you, what's the geekiest thing about you? What did you say at that point?
Interesting thing about that is when they called me up to walk through all the details of where it's going to be shot and when and blah, blah, blah. They also asked, like, give us a couple things about you that are geeky so we can decide which of them we're going to talk about. And the two that I gave them, one was that I have memorized all of the dialogue in the movie The Breakfast Club. Even the credits. That's one of my favorite movies. They're like, that's kind of weird. What else you got? I said that I collected cereal boxes, but I don't like cereal. Right.
And is that the one they went with on the show?
They went with that one. And the host poked a little fun at me for it. So that was good.
So is there a reason you collect? How did that start, the cereal box collection?
I don't know. I think there was back in like the early 90s, like every summer movie also came with a box of cereal. Like there's Batman in '89, and then there's like all the other movies that like kind of catered to kids. And we had my brother and I we had an empty box of Addams Family cereal. And we just hung on to it because I mean it's got Raul Julia and Angelica Houston on the cover of a cereal box. Then when I'd like be in the grocery store, I just kind of be like, hey, like it just kind of dawned on me like, hey, this looks kind of cool. It might be a silly little thing, and I just every time I saw an extra cereal box, it always has to be like a special edition or something like that.
Right,
And I just had them on display for a little bit for a while. I don't do it anymore. It's been a while.
Oh, that's a shame. When you're actually taking part, was there any breaks? Was it slower or quicker than you thought, or did anything?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I mean, what's interesting about at least this one is they filmed it almost exactly as it's seen.
Yeah.
So they film it and then take a break, and then it's just kind of like, all right, we're back in like a minute or something like that. Maybe they'll come up and talk to you, and you're like, okay, so now we're doing this, so you know what the next part is, and give you any cues, give you any pointers. If they'll have like subtle ways of telling you like keep up your energy. It's like, remember, big smiles, we're happy to be here, we're winning some money, like that kind of a thing.
Very subtle.
Yeah, exactly. And just they'll also check to make sure if you need water or anything like that. And then they break for a few minutes and then they start it back up, and it's just it's like a well-oiled machine, so they know like where to keep your angles, where what cuts to make and when, so that, you know, pretty much as soon as it's done editing, it's ready to go. Or as soon as it's done filming, it's just a few snips and trims here and there, and you're ready to go.
So did you manage to speak to the geeks at all, or were they kept away from you? Did they have, I guess
they're kept away. I mean, it's a separate thing, I guess, since they're, you know, the actual contestants. It's interesting. I was on another show recently, Best Ever Trivia Show, which is kind of similar, except it's with like the big TV trivia challenge winners like Ken Jennings. And they're also, you know, kind of kept separate because they're so seen as like, okay, well, these are the, you know, the stars of the show in essence. And you know, plus they're the ones who are getting hair and makeup done and things like that. You know, we're just just rolling in the way we are.
Did you have a cell phone back then? Were they a thing? Would they take them off you?
I did have a cell phone, but you know, this is like, it's like a Nokia. This is you know, 2002, so cell phone technology.
I suppose you couldn't record anything on them ones, like
no
have cameras. So
you couldn't even go online. I don't think. Like you had to have it like you would have to go to a website and have them like text you or email, text you a friggin' ringtone or something. So
I remember those. Wow, Crazy Frog, that was huge in the UK. That one at the time, I think it was. Before you went on the actual show, you said you were involved with trivia anyway, but did you like prepare, especially like, did you do extra like revision or anything like that? Or
what I mainly did was, since I knew it was pop culture and that's kind of my forte, I just watched the show a lot more. You know, just when I was writing my trivia for that week, for those like weeks, I just paid extra special attention to, you know, just sometimes certain things like, oh, just stick that away. You never know, that might come up. But luckily all the questions I was asked, I knew. I followed the only other prep I did was the night before. I followed what my friend who had won on Street Smarts told me was a foolproof way. He's, you know, this guy's a barrel of laughs. He's a really, really funny dude. He's very goofy. And it was foolproof because it worked for him once. So 1 out of 1, that's 100%.
Yeah, that's it.
So it was stay up the whole night beforehand playing video games and getting stoned. He said those are the things that are going to do it. You don't have to use this on the show if you don't want to. I'm cool with it coming out there, but it's like, I was like, why? He's like, well, if you stay up all night, you're going to be jittery. So you get stoned and you feel fine. I'm like, then why not just go to sleep? But there was no convincing him. So we played a whole lot of Xbox the night before, pretty much stayed up. And surprisingly, not too surprising, but I was pretty mellow. I'm an anxious guy in general, and I definitely had some nerves and anxiety in there. But like, I don't know, I guess knowing that I had 2 close friends who were really, really rooting for me and actually even went and sat in the audience for my show too that day. It's like, all right, that's cool.
So is that what
those are good.
Is that what you did then? Stayed up the whole night and didn't have any sleep before the show?
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, granted, at that age I had more energy and I could do it. Now if I get less than 8 hours, I'm done for the week. I think it was just staying up and really like playing video games and joking around just got me into like a comfortable spot.
Yeah.
So that I was like, okay, cool. Just still had that, like, you know, that rush you kind of get from hanging out with friends, which it's been quite a while since we've been able to do that. But yeah.
So did you not win your episode of Beat the Geeks?
Oh, I won the grand prize.
Yeah. So that's 2 out of 2 for that strategy. Then it is a foolproof strategy.
True. I didn't even think about that, and I don't think it's been done since. So 2 out of 2. Not bad.
100% success rate. Wow.
The other game shows I lost on, I slept before. Dang.
It just sounds like it isn't going to work. But it clearly does.
It did. Wow. I got to tell him that.
What did you win on the show, by the way? So you won the grand prize. What was that on the?
Yeah,
the same every week.
I don't know if it changes every week. It changes regularly, but it's also based on which of the geeks challenge. Like we challenge music. Like on mine, the Music Geek. If you would challenge them, there's like the standard prizes, and then the big prize was like backstage passes to the Violent Femmes reunion. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So what I won was couple $100 worth of DVDs.
Yeah.
Looking through them, I was like, okay, it's a little bit less than the dollar amount you gave them, but whatever. I got a monitor that you could plug your computer or your TV into, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, made for a good portable PlayStation system.
Yeah.
And then I got speakers and a subwoofer. And the grand prize was a trip to the Cannes Film Festival.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a bit? So what?
Yeah.
Was it like a VIP pass or?
It was an interesting trip. It was the following year, and so yeah, they contacted me. They sent me the tickets. You know, coach, of course. But the thing is, it wasn't through the studio per se. It was through the guest of the show that week, which is Trauma Films.
Right. Yeah.
And they make those really schlocky, sleazy, direct-to-video movies like Toxic Avenger and films I grew up loving. So this is a treat for me.
Yeah.
But I guess the guy who was supposed to be my contact throughout all of it quit 2 weeks before I was set to leave, and didn't inform anybody that I needed the info. So when I arrived in the airport, I didn't know what the hell to do, and there was nobody around. I thought they'd be like, "Hey, Team Drama, come over here." So I ended up going to get information, and them being like, "Oh, are you a guest of the festival?" But I heard it's yeah, I'm a guest of a company here. I'm like, "Oh, right this way," and they took me to a chauffeured car with a bunch of other people who were speaking English, Spanish, and French, and they were film distributors. And then me in this dirty t-shirt and ratty jeans, and it's I don't belong here. The chauffeur is wearing gloves, for God's sake. And so I bummed a free ride, and then I still couldn't find anybody, and I didn't have a pass anywhere, so I was all alone, and everything was booked because it was the festival, and even the hostels couldn't take me in. I luckily somehow found one room for one night.
Yeah.
And then the next day I saw somebody who I'd seen on the airplane over the barriers, and I was like, "You got to help me out." And so she found somebody to help walk me. It took me almost a whole day to find somebody who knew what the hell to do for me.
It sounds like a film or something.
It's seriously
breaking into Cannes or something.
It was that was my first day. I just kind of realized there's no topping this. No, nothing else that happens today or this week will ever top that. And
so you managed to get in then. You managed to
get in. Managed to actually Lloyd Kaufman, who runs Troma, actually took me out to lunch that day, and we talked film. That guy is an encyclopedia of movie knowledge, and just had fun with other people from other parts of the world, and that was a blast. That was you could have kept everything else. Just give me those 2 days, and that would have been fine.
That's a really good price compared to the 100 DVDs that were probably not worth it. It seems a massive step up compared to that.
Yeah,
a huge difference in prizes. I always ask this: did they provide food when you were filming the show, and what was the food?
Not really. I mean, there was a breakfast setup. I know there's fruit and granola bars, and I think some donuts or bagels. That's usually what they do, kind of the just the basic simple spread just for snack. I don't know if they had an actual break for lunch, because I was out of there before 11.
Oh, but, really?
Yeah, because I was the shows take about, with breaks, 35-40 minutes to shoot, because they just shoot straight through, and they just kind of schedule them one after another. So yeah, I was the second show, I think. So I think I started shooting around 10:15. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if they broke for lunch.
After the show, was there anything that came from it? Did they call you about anything, try get you on other shows, or?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I almost forgot to mention this. So yeah, I mean, one thing is, once you're in a game show, you're on a game show, audition for game shows, you're kind of in the circuit.
Yeah, this is what I've heard. Yeah.
A lot of people are looking for other, contestants as much as possible, and It actually sucks because I was about to be cast on a game show because this producer really, really liked me, but I guess the producer rubbed some people the wrong way and got fired, and all of the people he picked were just kind of going, like, oh, what are we good on that show?
What game show was that? Can you remember?
Oh God, I forget what it was. I think it was like it was a recent show. I never saw it. I think Fred Savage was like the host of it, but it's something that had to do with like almost kind of like Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, but a different way of I forget.
Yeah.
But so the producer of the show actually did call me. They said that they're pitching another show, and they really liked my energy, and they're calling some other people from other shows that have been on other game shows that won. I'm wondering if I would come in for like, I think they threw me like $50 or something to just replicate what an episode would look like for producers so that they can, as part of a pitch. And so yeah, the show that they pitched that actually got picked up was called Cram. And it was like where you and a partner were given 24 hours straight to study a subject. So you'd stay up all night studying a subject. And then you go on this game show exhausted, having to do like physical activities while being quizzed on what you studied.
Oh, that's interesting. What year was that?
That was called Cram. I believe it was called Cram.
What year was it that was?
What year? Well, that was, I would say 2003.
2003. I think Netflix have got something very similar now to that.
Really?
I think it's called Awake. I think it's called. I think contestants have to stay up, and then they like make them do like arithmetic and things. So that's
check that out.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've just read about it. So that's quite a long time before that Cram show.
Yeah.
Did that not get picked up then?
It went for one season, and it's weird because like one of my friends was on it, so I came over to their house and it's like, oh, that's you. You're on that show. It was kind of weird, but yeah, it was on for like, I think it only made one season.
Is there any funny or weird stories you can think of we missed from the day of filming Beat the Geeks? Is there anything?
A couple. I mean, when I finally watched the show, and that's an interesting thing, is they didn't tell me when the show was going to air. They just said sometime in May, I think is what they said. So I just had to literally have the VCR ready to record every night. Of course,
yeah.
Yeah.
Once you missed it back then, yeah.
Seriously. Yeah, they actually edited one of the questions out. So I started with challenging the movie geek, and I got one right, and then he got one right, and then I got one right, and then he got his wrong. But they edited the one that he got right out. So if you watch the show, he gets 0 questions correct. I don't know why. I don't know if they did that for time or if they did that just to build the story. I don't know. But I always thought that was kind of odd. It's like, oh, you missed that. But the other really fun thing that I always have to explain to people when I show them the coveted tape, part of the game was when you challenge a geek, they'd insult you. Yeah. And you're encouraged to yell something back to them. So he made like a really like deep cut film geek joke about something like, it's something about a bad filmmaker. It's like about a bad filmmaker making a good film, not impossible, just unlikely, or something like that. Just real geeky thing. And I just went, I shut up. Everybody was kind of like, because you're not used to the contestants yelling back, like clapping back. Like, oh, once they got it, it was cool.
So did they edit that bit out then, or was that kept in the show?
No, that's kept in. That's kept in.
I like that.
that was really cool. So it was cool. There's the one guest geek that was like pure luck. The guest geek was the horror geek, and my friends in the audience, when I picked him, they just kind of groaned because apparently in the last episode he was like unstoppable. But they happened to ask him like the one aspect of trivia he didn't know, so I was like, It was great. I didn't even have to do like the final lightning round because I had so many points ahead. So that was pretty rad. Oh, well, that's good. It worked out for you, didn't it? Oh yeah, definitely. Did you say you didn't get a question wrong on the show? Is that? I did not get a single question. Wow.
I'm surprised he didn't get called up to become like a geek on the show, maybe.
I was kind of hoping that, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't get one wrong, then
that would be cool. But I think it was like a couple months after I finished my show that it got canceled. So
yeah. Is there anything you'd like to promote before we sign off?
Yeah, I guess I might as well. I'm wearing a T-shirt of a movie my brother and friends did up in San Francisco a while back called Hell. You can find it at what's the slate? Oh God, hold on. It's yes, it's been a while. We made it a couple years back. Hellthemovie.com. I should have links to being able to buy it, and the DVD version. It's hosted by a late night horror host named Mr. Lobo. He's awesome, and yeah, it's just a silly rock and roll musical comedy. It's technically a sequel, but you don't need to see part 1 to see it.
Well, lovely, sounds good. I'll put links to that in the description and everything for people to take a look.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today, Dan. I've loved it. It's
anytime.
Been great. Thank you very much.
Sure thing, man.
See you later.